It was later that night, in the hotel suite, when she finally slipped off the wedding dress and sat at the edge of the bed, barefoot, hair half done, scrolling through her phone like I wasn't even in the room. She wasn't crying. She wasn't laughing either. She looked bored. I asked her if everything was okay. She said, "This doesn't feel real." And not in the way a woman says it when she's overwhelmed or emotional or stunned by love. She said it like someone who had just walked off stage. And then she added, without looking up, "It's weird wearing someone else's ring." I turned. "What?" She blinked, slowly. "I mean, metaphorically. Chill." She tossed the phone on the nightstand and climbed into bed without brushing her teeth, without saying goodnight, without anything resembling a woman who'd just made a lifelong commitment. I sat on the couch that night. Didn't sleep. Didn't argue. Just stared at the closed bathroom door and wondered how the hell we got here. And then I remembered the toast. My brother's toast. Standing there in a gray suit that cost more than my car, whiskey in hand, smiling just wide enough to look sincere but not quite warm. He raised the glass and said, "To second chances. Sometimes it takes the wrong guy to wake you up to the right one." People laughed. She smiled. I didn't. Because in that moment, it wasn't a compliment. It was a message, buried beneath a grin. I hadn't spoken to him since. Not really. And if I was honest, I hadn't spoken to her either. Not about the hard things. Not about the fact that she used to date my brother for 3 years. Not about the way he introduced us after they split. Not about the look on his face when we announced we were together. He said he was fine. Said he was happy for me. Said it was all water under the bridge. But now I couldn't stop wondering. Why did he push so hard for me to propose? And why did she say yes so fast? I met her for the first time 5 years ago, or technically, I saw her. They were still together then. It was a 4th of July barbecue at my brother's place. I just moved back from Charlotte, broke as hell, 2 years out of a job, sleeping in a basement apartment with a space heater I didn't trust. She wasn't what I expected. Not after the stories he told me, how wild she was, how unpredictable, how she'd burn your world down just to see what was left standing. I expected loud. I expected fire. But she was poised. Quiet, even. She wore a white sundress, no jewelry, no makeup I could see. Sat on the porch with her legs crossed and a paperback in her lap like she'd been dragged to the party by mistake. Later, I asked him about her. "You two doing okay?" He laughed. "She's hot and complicated. Like a high-performance engine. Fast as hell, but don't lift the hood." That was the end of that. They broke up 2 years later. No drama. No blown-up group texts. Just a quiet, "we're not working" message sent out like a company memo. She moved out. He stayed silent. Didn't even badmouth her, which was rare for him. So when he reintroduced us a year after that, when he casually mentioned, "Oh, hey, guess who I ran into at the co-op?" Valerie, like she was an old friend, not an ex who once held a knife to his ego, I was surprised. "She asked about you," he said, tossing the words over his shoulder while unlocking the back door. "Said you seemed grounded. She's different now." Different how? I don't know, man. Just softer, calmer. Maybe she just needed the wrong guy to realize what she really wanted. That line again. Wrong guy. Right one. Like he was already planning it. The next week, she messaged me. Nothing dramatic. Just a "Hey, I'm grabbing coffee downtown Thursday. Want to catch up?" Catch up from what? We'd never spoken before. But I went. And she was different. Or at least, she played it that way. She asked about my work. Listened when I spoke. Laughed at things that weren't that funny. Her voice was lower than I remembered. Slower, like she was doing everything she could to seem composed. At one point, I mentioned her relationship with my brother. "That must be awkward, huh? Me sitting across from you." She smiled. No hesitation. "Not really. That wasn't a love story. That was just a long mistake we both needed to walk away from. And now," she said, sipping her coffee, "I know what kind of man I'd never choose again." Looking back, it's hard to say what she meant. But in the moment, it sounded like a compliment. My brother didn't say much after we started dating. He nodded once when I told him, "Good. You're probably better for her. You sure you're cool with it?" He clapped my shoulder. "Man, you're my brother. I want you both happy. Clean slate, right?" Except I didn't ask for a clean slate. And he never said she was the one writing it. She was the one who brought up marriage first. Not in a romantic way. Not with candles or teary-eyed hypotheticals. It was casual, like she was asking if I liked almond milk or oat milk better. We were sitting on the couch watching some true crime doc about a fake psychic who married 3 different clients. She muted the TV during a commercial, looked over, and said, "Would you ever do a courthouse wedding?" What? Just curious. I've always liked the simplicity of it. No drama, no planning. Just 2 people making a decision and doing it. I laughed it off at first, but she didn't smile. She held my gaze a little too long. "You're serious?" "I'm saying, you and me don't need a whole production, right? If we ever did it, it'd be for us. Not for Instagram." That "if" was doing heavy lifting. And the way she phrased it, "when we do it, let's not make a fuss," it was already settled in her mind. After that, the idea kept circling like a hawk. She started sending me real estate listings tagged "great for couples." She forwarded emails about joint checking perks. She started referring to my spare toothbrush in the bathroom as hers. And every time I saw my brother, the conversation drifted the same direction. "You two still going strong?" "Yeah." "You thinking about locking it down?" "Maybe." "Haven't really talked about it that seriously." "You should." "She's different now. Settled. That girl used to burn everything down just to feel something. But with you, she's grounded. Like she knows what she wants." Then he paused, leaned in slightly. "You'd be an idiot not to." Just saying. I didn't ask for his blessing, but he gave it anyway, over and over again. And when I finally bought the ring, I didn't tell either of them. It was a quiet Saturday. She was out with friends. I was cleaning out the hallway closet looking for an old winter coat. That's when I found it. A small wooden box tucked behind a stack of worn scarves she never wore. I opened it. Inside was a folded envelope, unsealed. Not addressed to me. Not new. It was dated 2 years prior. Signed in my brother's handwriting. "You'll get what you want. Just don't rush it." No name. No return address. Just that. I stared at it for a long time. Then I refolded the letter, placed it back in the envelope, slid the box shut, and put it exactly where I found it. When she got home, I didn't say anything. She smiled like nothing had happened. Asked what I wanted for dinner. Told me I smelled like dust and old cardboard. That night, I placed the ring box in my drawer, not hers. And for the first time since we started dating, I went to sleep wondering if I was walking into something that had already been decided without me. Everything looked right. That's what still pisses me off. Our family smiled. The photos looked warm. The music hit every right note. But from the moment I stepped into that goddamn suit, something felt off. Like I was showing up to a job I never applied for. My mother kept fussing over my tie. Her mom didn't speak to me once. And Valerie? She looked stunning. Too stunning. Like she'd walked out of a magazine shoot and hadn't stopped posing since. When we stood at the altar, she didn't cry. Didn't smile, either. She stared right through me like she already knew the outcome and was just running through the script. We got through the ceremony. The kiss. The applause. All of it felt like an expensive rehearsal. At the reception, my brother was the first to grab the mic. He didn't look at me when he started. He looked at her. To Valerie. "You were always full of fire. Too much for me, probably. But I'm glad you finally found someone who knows how to hold it without getting burned." Laughter. Claps. I felt my stomach twist. Then he raised the glass toward me. To my brother. "You've got her now. Take good care of her, man. She's one of a kind." The way he said it, not fond, not proud. More like a warning. I locked eyes with him. Just for a second. And in that second, I saw it. Satisfaction. Just a flicker of something settled, like a man who just moved his last piece and knew the game was already over. After the cake cutting, I stepped outside for air. Talked to a couple of cousins. Took a call from an old friend who couldn't make it. Went back inside, grabbed a drink, made a round through the tables. 20 minutes. Maybe 30. That's when I noticed she was gone. No one had seen her. Not at the bar. Not on the dance floor. Not in the restroom. I asked the planner. She pointed toward the bridal suite upstairs. I walked in without knocking. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, dress bunched around her waist, phone in hand. She didn't flinch when the door opened. Didn't hide the screen. I saw the name. Didn't recognize it. Just the initials, TM. She looked up like I'd interrupted a meeting, not our wedding night. "I just needed 5 minutes. It's a lot. You've been gone 45. "I know. I was decompressing." "You texting someone named TM?" "To decompress." She locked the screen, stood up, smoothed her dress. kiss my cheek without touching my face. Can we not do this today? Please. I didn't say anything. I walked out of the room. And I swear, from the hallway, I heard her whisper, "He's not dumb. You better hope he stays in love." The shift didn't take weeks. It took days. By the time the thank you notes were still sitting blank on the kitchen table, the warmth was already gone. No more morning kisses. No texts during the day. No idle touches when we passed each other in the hallway. She was just off. 3 days after the wedding, I asked if she wanted to open a joint savings account. She looked up from her tablet and said, "Actually, I already moved some of the honeymoon gifts into an account under my name. Just easier for taxes." I blinked. Wait, the cash gifts? I thought we agreed that money was for the new place. And it is, she said, not looking at me. Eventually. It's not like I spent it. I didn't push. Not yet. A week later, I got an alert from my credit card company. A flagged charge, not fraudulent, just unusual. $3,800 to a consulting firm I'd never heard of. She was listed as an authorized user. When I asked, she waved it off. "It's related to something I'm looking into. Real estate investment opportunities." I didn't think I needed to run it by you. You didn't think dropping $4,000 on a consulting firm under my card needed a heads up? Are you serious right now? She stared at me like I'd just accused her of cheating, not questioned a financial move made behind my back. You think I'm spending your money? Half of that wedding was mine. Half of that wedding was paid for by my family. And I'm the one whose name is tied to every account. She exhaled, slow. Don't pretend you weren't part of this. I froze. Part of what? She turned away. Didn't answer. Just walked upstairs and shut the bedroom door like she hadn't just dropped a landmine in the living room. I sat there, glass of water in my hand, staring at the closed door, wondering what the hell she meant. What part had I unknowingly played? The next morning, the passwords to 2 of our shared apps were changed. Calendar invites deleted. Bank login blocked. Too many attempts. I tried to reset it. My recovery email had been replaced. She didn't say anything. Didn't apologize. Didn't explain. That night, I confronted her. "Why are you locking me out of our accounts?" She didn't miss a beat. "You're being paranoid. I'm organizing things. You'll get access once I finish." Finish what? What we started. I watched her walk upstairs, barefoot, phone in hand, smiling at something on the screen. It wasn't until an hour later, when I opened my own laptop and saw my brother's name pop up on a calendar sync, that everything started to feel like a setup. I clicked the calendar invite. It was labeled Trust Draft, Review, Final. Date? 2 weeks before our wedding. The calendar invite was buried deep, synced through an old iCloud she'd forgotten was still connected to my desktop from when we first started planning the wedding budget. I opened the attachment. PDF. Titled Trust Transfer _ Final Draft _ V3.pdf. 47 pages. Legal boilerplate, financial routing language, signatory fields. 2 names on the header. My brother. Her. I didn't understand half of what it said at first. There were mentions of asset shielding, holding percentages, real estate parcels, shell entities. But my name was there. Page 23. Listed as a temporary legal partner for the purpose of deflecting tax exposure on a co-owned property in a company I'd never heard of, Stoneport Holdings, LLC. I'd never signed anything. Never even heard the name Stoneport before. At the bottom of the doc, a single clause stood out. Marriage prior to Q3 filing neutralizes spousal liability under revised trust allocation structure. I stared at it for 10 minutes. Then I printed it and started digging. First, I checked the property records. Stoneport Holdings owned a commercial space across state lines, a warehouse my brother had once claimed he sold years ago after a failed business pivot. Turns out, he didn't sell it. He moved it to her name, temporarily, but only if she got married before July. It was now August. Next, I checked the email headers. She was using a private account to communicate with a legal firm based out of Wilmington. The messages were cold, transactional. Confirm trust shield auto resets post-marriage event. If date hits before final signature, are we exposed? Please advise timeline, as partner is close to proposing. Partner, not fiancé, not husband. Partner, like I was a chess piece. Then I found the thread between her and my brother. Forwarded from the firm. Got the date. He pulled the trigger. Good. Once you're in, I'll clear my end before the quarter closes. And after. You'll get yours. Just don't get cute. I printed that one too. No signatures. No admission of guilt. But enough coded language to lay the whole thing out plain. I was the cover. She was the mule. He was the one walking clean with a balance sheet scrubbed of liability before the IRS came knocking. Later that night, I opened our fireproof box, the one she kept locked in the closet, supposedly for wedding keepsakes and important stuff. I found a burner phone. Only 3 numbers stored. One of them was labeled M. The text history was wiped clean. But in the Settings tab under SIM registration, the contact info listed an email. m.tucker@stoneportholdings.com. That was my brother's full name. Marcus Tucker. He'll never know. You'll get what you want. Don't get cute. I closed the lid, locked it back, sat on the edge of the bed for a long time while she slept. That's when I realized. She wasn't bored the night of the wedding. She wasn't nervous. She was clocking out. I waited until she left for her weekly yoga reset, which I now knew was held in a studio that didn't exist, booked through an app that had never charged her once. I didn't waste time. Went straight to her laptop, used the passcode I'd watched her tap in a dozen times with muscle memory 6-3-3-1. I didn't need to guess the password for the encrypted folder. It was the name of our honeymoon hotel. She never imagined I'd be looking. Inside was everything she tried to hide. Travel docs, crypto wallets, scanned receipts for hotel stays in cities I had never been invited to, and then a document labeled prenup_Marcus_master.pdf. Marcus. My brother. I opened it. Header, private agreement, unfiled draft. Names listed, Marcus Tucker and Valerie Lennox. Date, 16 months before our wedding. The language was familiar: property protections, distribution of assets upon separation, NDAs, reputational shielding. But this wasn't just a prenup. It was a business clause disguised as a marriage agreement. On page 9. In the event that co-signing party Valerie is legally married to Marcus Tucker before June 30th, joint ownership of the Stoneport entity shall be split 60/40ths, with Marcus retaining all intellectual property, licensing rights, and tax filtration benefits. In the event this agreement is not executed by the target date, an alternate spousal proxy may be used for temporary shielding purposes. Alternate spousal proxy. There it was. I was the proxy. The fallback. The paper wall. She was supposed to marry him. He either backed out or needed to distance himself last minute, so he pushed me forward. Fed me just enough rope. Played supportive older brother while watching me step straight into the hole he dug for himself. And she went along with it. Because why wouldn't she? Marrying me meant she still got her cut. Still played her part. Still walked away with whatever promises he whispered to her the night she disappeared from our reception. I closed the file. And that's when I noticed something else, a hidden folder titled alt_vows.mov. I clicked. It was her. In a robe. Hair still damp. Holding a glass of wine in one hand, laughing into her phone. No, I didn't say them. Of course not. Are you kidding? That whole thing? It was for his family. You know that. No, I'll say what I really meant next time, after the check clears. She winked at the camera, then raised her glass. To the clean exit. She didn't marry me. She completed a transaction. And my brother? He never planned to stay in the picture. He just needed me to sign for the package. I didn't call. Didn't text. I just walked into his office Monday morning, collared shirt, messenger bag over my shoulder, contract folder zipped tight, voice recorder running in my jacket pocket. He was on the phone when I stepped in. Motioned me in without missing a beat. Like nothing in the world was broken. Like he hadn't used my last name to erase his mistakes. I sat down across from him. Waited. He ended the call. Smiled. Look who finally comes to visit. You lose a bet. I pulled the folder from the bag and dropped it on his desk. It landed with a sound that cleared the air. He didn't open it. He didn't touch it. He just stared at it like he already knew what page I'd lead with. You want to tell me what I married? I asked. No response. No? Want me to read it out loud? I've got the time. He leaned back in the chair. Laced his fingers behind his head. Didn't blink. You found the docs. I found the prenup. With your name. I found the emails. The trust. The property trail. The clause that needed her married before Q3. Good. That's all he said. Not sorry. Not surprised. Good. You used me. I protected us. Bullshit. You were happy. Weren't you? He asked, voice even. You had her. You had the ring. You had the house. You played your role. I blinked. Played my. She was going to bleed me dry. But I knew you. You'd keep her steady long enough for me to cut clean. You're dependable. Predictable. He leaned forward, elbows on the desk now. You're not the victim, brother. You're the firewall. You just didn't read the fine print. She used me. She played her part. Just like you. And now it's done. I pulled out the last page. A printed screenshot of the video clip, her laughing in the robe. She thinks the check's still coming. He shrugged. Not my problem anymore. You think I'm going to keep this quiet? He smiled. You think anyone cares? 2 grown men. 1 woman. Business deal. Marriage goes south. You know what they'll say? That you should have seen it coming. That you were soft. You set me up. I set myself free. That was it. No apology. No denial. Just a man who never once saw me as family. Just a name he could sign things under. I stood up. He didn't. You want to do something with that folder, he said, nodding toward it. Go ahead. Just remember, if you burn me, she burns too. And you're the one that married her. I left the folder on the desk. Not for him. For evidence. Because if I was going to light the match, I wanted him to see where the flame started. I didn't go home. I left his office, drove straight to a parking garage downtown, sat in the car, and started calling lawyers. Took me 4 tries to find the right one. A woman named Jada Feldman. Specialized in contract reversals and marital fraud. Didn't ask dumb questions. I forwarded her everything. The prenup. The trust agreement. The emails. The footage. The fake consulting charge on my card. The burner phone registration. Even the recording of Marcus casually admitting to orchestrating the whole thing. She called me back 3 hours later. We've got grounds. Multiple. You're sure? You were not a willing business participant. You were a legal decoy. That's marital fraud and financial misrepresentation. I can have your accounts frozen, hers flagged, and we'll subpoena her communications with your brother before she knows we're serious. Do it. Also, don't talk to her. Don't confront her. Don't even hint. I already did. With him. Pause. Then we go faster. Next morning, she served 2 injunctions. 1 to Valerie. 1 to Stoneport Holdings. Emergency order to freeze asset transfers. Jada filed for annulment with grounds. Marital union entered under false pretenses with demonstrated financial deception and external coercion. Strong enough to not just void the marriage, but to open up criminal review. I changed the locks that night. She came home around 8 p.m. Confused, at first. Tried her key. Didn't work. She knocked. I answered. What the hell is this? The end. Excuse me. You know what it is. She stepped back, narrowed her eyes. You went through my files. You were sloppy. You think you're the victim? I'm the one that signed a marriage license while you were executing a corporate exit strategy. Marcus said you might pull this. And now you're both done. I handed her a sealed envelope. Inside, the motion to annul, signed and filed. That's not going to stick, she said, flipping through it. Doesn't have to. You know what's in discovery. You wouldn't. I already did. She tried to play calm, but her hand was shaking. You think this ruins me? No, I said. You already did that. This just makes it official. She left without another word. By the time I shut the door, my attorney had already filed a formal complaint with the Business Oversight Commission. They would be crawling through Marcus's holdings by morning. 2 days later, I froze every joint account, canceled every card she'd ever touched, took her name off the utilities, the lease, the car insurance, dropped the honeymoon refund check into a separate account and mine alone, forwarded every last doc to the IRS, didn't send her a text, didn't post a thing. The day after that, I got an email from Marcus's wife. Short, cold, just said, "Thanks for the file." I had no idea. She filed for divorce within the week. They both disappeared in different ways. Marcus first. Stoneport Holdings was flagged for audit within 10 days. 2 shell companies collapsed overnight. His assets were seized temporarily, pending clarification. That clarification never came. He resigned from his board seat at a startup I'd never even heard of. Apparently, he'd sunk half of his cut into it. That funding froze, too. His wife filed, moved out, went quiet. I never responded to her email. Didn't need to. Far as I know, Marcus sold off his last standing LLC and moved somewhere in Arizona under a different firm name. The name he's using now? Doesn't matter. He can run spreadsheets in the desert for the rest of his life. It won't buy him back what he lost. Valerie? She stayed long enough to contest the annulment once. Filed a counterclaim. It got shredded in court after my lawyer dropped a thumb drive of encrypted texts and one subpoenaed voice note labeled alt_vows.mov. She didn't show up to the second hearing. Didn't respond after that. Just left. Vanished. A friend of mine said he spotted her 2 states over, working as a consultant for some boutique firm with a name that sounded like a cover. Didn't even ask what she was consulting. Sometimes, I wonder if she got her cut. If Marcus paid her off before I closed the vault. But the truth is, I don't care. I didn't win anything. I just ended something I never should have been part of. The house? Sold. Every piece of furniture we picked out together? Gone. I stripped it bare, floor to ceiling. Started over in a different zip code with nothing I hadn't paid for myself. The marriage was erased. Legally, digitally, emotionally. No ceremony. No last words. No lessons I needed to learn again. Just a file marked closed. And a line I keep written on the back of a receipt in my wallet. They didn't steal from me. They handed me the match. And I burned the blueprint they thought I'd follow.